Welcome to Life Moments Podcast, where we dive deep into the moments that shape us, the lessons we learn, and the wisdom that helps us grow. I'm so glad you're here today. If you find this episode inspiring or helpful, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Your support means the world to us and helps us reach more people with stories and insights that matter. Now let's get started with today's episode, Judgment Never Ends, Why People Always Have Something to Say. Have you ever found yourself hesitating before sharing something about your life, worried about what people might think or say? Maybe you felt the sting of a passing comment, a raised eyebrow, or a subtle sigh that made you question your choices or your worth. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Judgment is something every single one of us encounters, whether it's from family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers on the internet. It's almost as if there's an unspoken rule that everyone must have an opinion, and often those opinions find their way to us, whether we ask for them or not. Why is it that judgment seems to be everywhere? Why do people always have something to say no matter what we do? Is it because we live in a world that's more connected than ever, where every moment can be shared, commented on, and critiqued in real time? Or is it something deeper, something woven into the fabric of human nature? Today we're going to explore these questions and more, uncovering the roots of judgment, the impact it has on our lives, and most importantly, how we can navigate a world where opinions never seem to end. Let's start by acknowledging a simple truth. Judgment is a natural part of the human experience. From the earliest days of our lives, we learn to observe, compare, and categorize. It's how we make sense of the world. As children, we watch the people around us, noticing what's praised and what's criticized. We learn the rules of our families, our communities, our cultures. We absorb messages about what's acceptable and what's not, what's beautiful and what's flawed, what's right and what's wrong. These early lessons shape the way we see ourselves and others, often in ways we don't even realize. But while judgment can help us navigate social norms and expectations, it can also become a source of pain and limitation. When we internalize the judgments of others, we may start to doubt ourselves, to hold back, to play small. We may find ourselves constantly seeking approval, fearing rejection, or feeling like we never quite measure up. The fear of being judged can be paralyzing, keeping us from expressing our true selves or pursuing our dreams. At the same time, it's important to recognize that everyone experiences judgment, not just from others, but also from within. The loudest critic is often the voice inside our own heads, repeating the doubts and fears we've picked up along the way. What will people think? Am I good enough? Did I make the right choice? These questions can echo endlessly, shaping our decisions and our sense of self-worth. So why do people judge? The reasons are as varied as people themselves. Sometimes judgment comes from a place of insecurity. When we feel uncertain about ourselves, it can be tempting to compare ourselves to others, to look for flaws or differences that make us feel better by contrast. Other times, judgment is a way of enforcing social norms, a way of signaling what's acceptable or unacceptable in a given group. There are also moments when judgment is simply a reflection of curiosity or concern, a way of trying to understand the world and the people in it. Of course, in today's world, judgment is amplified by technology. Social media platforms give everyone a voice and a stage, making it easier than ever to share opinions, offer feedback, or criticize from a distance. A single post can attract a flood of comments, some supportive, others harsh or dismissive. The anonymity of the internet can make people bolder, more willing to say things they might never express face-to-face. This digital landscape can feel overwhelming, especially when we're on the receiving end of criticism or negativity. But judgment isn't all bad. Sometimes feedback from others can help us grow, see things from a new perspective, or recognize areas where we can improve. The key is learning to distinguish between constructive criticism and destructive judgment. Constructive criticism is rooted in care and respect, offered with the intention of helping us become better. Destructive judgment, on the other hand, is often rooted in insecurity, jealousy, or a desire to control. So how do we deal with judgment in a healthy way? How do we protect our sense of self while remaining open to growth and connection? One of the most powerful tools we have is self-awareness. When we become aware of our own values, strengths, and goals, we're less likely to be swayed by the opinions of others. We learn to filter feedback, taking in what's helpful and letting go of what isn't. We begin to trust ourselves, to make choices that align with who we are rather than who others expect us to be. Another important tool is empathy. When we remember that everyone is fighting their own battles, carrying their own insecurities and fears, it becomes easier to respond to judgment with compassion rather than defensiveness. Instead of taking criticism personally, we can ask ourselves where it might be coming from. Is this person projecting their own struggles onto us? Are they trying to help, or are they simply reacting out of habit or pain? By approaching judgment with curiosity rather than anger, we open the door to understanding and connection. It's also helpful to set boundaries. Not every opinion deserves our attention or energy. We have the right to decide whose feedback matters and whose doesn't. This doesn't mean shutting ourselves off from the world or refusing to listen to others. It means being intentional about the voices we allow into our lives. Surround yourself with people who support and encourage you, who challenge you to grow in positive ways, and who respect your journey. Learn to say no to toxic or unhelpful criticism, whether it comes from others or from within. One of the most liberating realizations is that no matter what we do, someone will always have something to say. We can't control other people's opinions, but we can control how we respond to them. When we stop chasing approval and start living authentically, we free ourselves from the endless cycle of judgment and comparison. We discover that our worth isn't determined by what others think, but by who we are and how we choose to show up in the world. Let's take a moment to reflect on the ways judgment has shown up in our lives. Think back to a time when you felt judged, whether it was for a decision you made, the way you look, or something you believe in. How did it make you feel? Did it change the way you saw yourself or the choices you made? Now consider a time when you found yourself judging someone else. What was going on in your life at that moment? Were you feeling insecure, stressed, or misunderstood? By examining our own experiences with judgment, we can begin to break the cycle and create more space for empathy and understanding. It's also important to remember that we're all works in progress. None of us are perfect, and that's okay. We all make mistakes, learn, and grow. When we embrace our own imperfections, we become more accepting of others. We realize that everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have. This shift in perspective can transform the way we relate to ourselves and the people around us. If you're struggling with judgment, whether it's from others or from within, know that you're not alone. It's a universal experience, one that connects us all. But you have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose to let go of the need for approval, to trust yourself, and to live in alignment with your values. You can choose to be kind to yourself, to celebrate your strengths, and to honor your journey. One practical way to build resilience against judgment is to practice self-compassion. When you notice self-critical thoughts or feel the sting of someone else's words, take a moment to pause and breathe. Remind yourself that you're human, that it's okay to make mistakes, and that you're worthy of love and respect just as you are. Speak to yourself the way you would speak to a friend, with kindness, encouragement, and understanding. Another helpful practice is gratitude. When we focus on what we appreciate about ourselves and our lives, we become less vulnerable to criticism. Make a habit of noticing your strengths, your achievements, and the qualities that make you unique. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small. By cultivating gratitude, we shift our attention away from what others think and toward what truly matters. It's also valuable to remember that not all judgment is about us. Sometimes people project their own fears and insecurities onto others. They may criticize what they don't understand or what challenges their beliefs. When we recognize that judgment often says more about the person giving it than the person receiving it, we can take things less personally. We can respond with empathy rather than defensiveness or anger. Of course, there will be times when judgment still hurts. It's okay to feel upset, frustrated, or disappointed. Allow yourself to feel your emotions without judgment. Give yourself permission to process and heal. Reach out to people who support and understand you. Remember that you're not defined by the opinions of others. As we navigate a world where judgment never ends, let's commit to being sources of kindness and understanding. Let's choose to lift each other up, to celebrate our differences, and to honor each person's unique journey. When we lead with empathy and compassion, we create a ripple effect that touches everyone around us. If you find yourself judging others, take a moment to pause and reflect. Ask yourself where those feelings are coming from. Are you feeling insecure, stressed, or misunderstood? Is there something you need to address within yourself? By turning inward and examining our own motivations, we can break the cycle of judgment and create more space for acceptance. Let's also remember the power of words. The things we say, whether in person or online, have the power to uplift or to wound. Before offering criticism or feedback, ask yourself if it's helpful, necessary, and kind. Choose your words with care, knowing that they can make a lasting impact. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with a few final thoughts. Judgment is a part of life, but it doesn't have to define us. We have the power to choose how we respond, to cultivate self-awareness, empathy, and resilience. By embracing our own worth and honoring the journeys of others, we create a world where everyone feels seen, heard, and valued. Thank you for joining me on the Life Moments podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. Your support helps us grow and reach more people with messages of hope, understanding, and inspiration. Remember, you are enough just as you are. Keep shining, keep growing, and keep believing in yourself. Until next time, take care and be kind to yourself and others.